everyone. If you notice the title of the slide, the PowerPoint presentation says Getting That Job. And while Curtis focused on resume writing is just one aspect, and it's a key aspect of getting the job. It's very, very important. So I'm going to try in the next hour or so to cover as much as possible to help you, the students, to write a resume, to prepare for an interview, and at the end of the day, to be comfortable and for the job that you will be getting. Okay. All right. So I need to also confess that I don't do these presentations every day. And since I'm now retired, that makes it even worse. But I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to ask for your understanding and patience. All right, so we're getting that job. So what we will be looking at this afternoon is advertisements. How do you know about the job? The cover letter, the resume, and the interview. Now, most persons, when they apply for a job, they are responding most of the times to an advertisement. Now, there are other forms of seeking a job, of writing an application, of submitting that application. One of them is word of mouth. Somebody could tell you of an opening at a company, and that's word of mouth. Unsolicited will be where you submit your application, just looking for a job. You're probably looking for a job as an accounting clerk, accounting officer, and you just submit your application. That's unsolicited. But what you need to bear in mind, no matter how you respond, how you seek the job, you need to indicate in your cover letter how you knew about the job. So, for example, if you're responding to an advertisement, when you do your cover letter, letting them know that you're applying for the job, you let them know in the cover letter that you knew about the job from the advertisement place. For example, in the Gleaner on Wednesday, May 11th. All right, and you need to put in the year 2022. All right. So that is what your cover letter will say. If it's unsolicited, you just indicate that you're applying for a particular job and you're asking them to consider your application. Now, you have responded to the ad. So you need to have your cover. You want to respond to the ad because this particular job is for you. It covers the skills that you have, the experience, and so you're going to apply. The first thing you need to do is your cover letter. Now, your cover letter must have your address. You are the applicant, and so the cover letter must have your name and address. In addition to that, you need to have the address of the applicant, of the company that you are applying to. And if you can get the name of the hiring manager or the person who is seeking the applicant, you include their names in this cover letter. As I said before, you need to indicate in the letter how you heard about the job. You probably heard about the job through, as I said before, advertisement, or it's unsolicited, or word of mouth. And when you do the letter, remember, please to sign the letter. If you're uploading it, if you're sending online, that's something different. Some people have electronic signatures, but if you are handing in a hard copy to the company, sending it in, you sign the letter. Also, you need to bear in mind that the letter, the letter that you're doing, the cover letter, has the hiring manager will be reading your letter, looking at your sentence constructions, and looking at experience, if you notice on the slide, it says use less of the word I or the letter I. Quite a number of persons, when they are doing their letters, they say I. And when you look at the letters, it's punctuated with I, the word I. And so you need to consider rewording your letters, rewriting your letters with less of the word I. Now, you have done your cover letter. Your next thing is your resume, the key. Now, the resume is a tool, and the main purpose of the resume is to show the person reading your resume or the hiring manager the skills that you have, your education, and your experience. And when you look at it, your resume is like an advertisement. When a company advertises a particular product, they are saying to you, the consumer, that if you buy this product, you will gain certain or specific benefits. And so that's what your resume is saying about you. If they call you for an interview or if they hire you, these are the skills that you will be bringing to this particular company. And I must stop here and state that if you have any questions, we'll take the questions during the presentation, so you can always stop me. Danish is monitoring the the presentation, so if I don't see your raised hands, excuse me, if I don't see your raised hand, then Danish or somebody else will see it. Now, your resume, as I said, is a tool. And there are 3 types of resumes. There's no best way or perfect way of doing a resume, but they have 3 basic types of resumes: the chronological, the functional, and a combination of the chronological and functional. For the presentation, we will be looking at a chronological resume. And the chronological resume is more the structure, more the traditional structure of a resume, with the focus being on experience. Now, with the chronological resume, on most resumes, you have your name at the top. You have your name, your address and telephone number, and also your email address. And you, believe me, people, gentle people, please ensure that the information is correct on your resume. Make sure that the telephone number or numbers have no errors, no digit is missing. There's no incorrect digit in your telephone numbers. For your email address, some people have 2 email addresses. One for their social, for their friends, it's the social aspect, and the other is for business. Like if you're seeking a job, then you would use that particular email address, so that when you get a response, you will see it immediately. All right, as we go down, you will notice you have career objective, and career objective on your resume, especially if you are just leaving school, your career objective, you don't need to put that in. It's not crucial. It's not that important at this point in your life. But if there's something that you want the hiring manager to know about you and to know what your career goal is, then you would include your career objective. Now, the next thing on your resume is your education. If you're attending a tertiary institution, you will indicate which institution you are attending, the year you started, and the year you intend to finish. You also need to name the program you are doing. I have seen resumes coming in, and all that we're seeing is that the person is attending university. With whatever university they are attending, they write the name of the university. but it's not in the cover letter. It's nowhere on the resume to indicate, oh, the hiring manager is at a loss. What is this person studying? And they really don't have time to do all the research and investigation. So you, who is looking for the job, should ensure that you indicate the program you are doing at the university. And you may not be attending a tertiary institution, but you're only attending a secondary institution. You are doing CXC, you're doing the CSEC subjects, you're doing the CXC program. So you would not have educational qualifications, but you will be doing subjects, you'll be doing CXC, and so you indicate whether you are in 5th form or 6th form, you would indicate the subjects you are doing. If you have done some subjects, if you have done the exams for some subjects and you have your grades, you indicate that information. It is important that you indicate that information on your resume. All right, any questions? All right, looks like we're good. On the screen, you notice it says primary preparatory as part of your education. It is not necessary for you to put that, but if you care to, there's no harm in indicating which primary school you attended. Qualifications. Your qualifications would be for those of you, you notice I put program enrolled at the tertiary level. That can go up to the education section, and the subject spending can go in the education section. But if you care to, you can separate them. But I put it there so that you can see the options that you have. And depending on the number of subjects that you have, the number of grades that you have, you can put them under qualifications. Experience. Experience here would include all the jobs that you have had prior to writing this particular resume. Some of you would have worked during the summer period, and so you would indicate the periods that you have worked, where you have worked, and your job responsibilities. Those are key, and those are what will be helping the hiring manager to know if you have the experience and the qualifications for the job that you are applying. So it's very important that all the experiences that you have had, that you include them on the experience, and you start with the most recent job experience at the top. Not the one that you did 2-3 years ago, but the one that you did last year, or the one that you did earlier this year. If you did any voluntary work, you also indicate it on the experience. And as I said before, it is key because that helps the hiring manager to know the skills that you have gained over the years. Also, what you can bear in mind is that we have some people, some persons, they have worked on various summer programs, and what they do to continue gaining experience after their tenure, after their employment with that particular company is over, they go back and volunteer their services. And that helps you because it will form part of your experience. So these are things that you can think about. You have to be innovative in terms of how you're going to have your resume looking, how impressive it will be. And that is the key. You will be working on a summer program, you will be an intern at a company, and so you would have gained certain experience, and it is important that you list them with the most recent job experience being first. Also remember to put in the period that you work. It's very important, and it must be chronological. It must be chronological, bear that in mind. Also, your resume will call for extracurricular activities that you may have done or may be doing at school. It also, your resume, you should not forget, it is very important to you, and so you need to put it on paper, any awards, any honors that you have received. And if you are the recipient of any scholarships, you would include that on your resume. So that those things like those would be on achievements. And references. Some people usually put in available on request. However, if you are called for an interview, when you complete the application form, you will be asked for references, and so you will have to include somebody's 1 or 2 names of people who are familiar with you as a prospective applicant for a position with a particular company. The other day I got a call, at least I got a message that an individual was seeking a job at a reputable company, and he had put my name as reference. Now, I didn't have a problem with that, but what the individual should have done was to get in touch with me and let me know what he had done so that I could expect the call and prepare myself. And so you need to remember that if you're using anyone as a reference, you need to let them know what you are doing, that you have listed their names. Well, before you even put their names down, you need to have a talk with them. And once they agree, then you can write their names on your resume or on the application forms. Now, I have a resume, a cover letter and resume to show you. Let me see if I can. Where is it? Right. Now, I've changed the name for obvious reasons on this letter. It's a cover letter. And if you notice, how do I get it to scroll up? All right, if you notice, it has the applicant's name and address at the top, and email address. Notice the email address. Then it has the name of the addressee on the cover letter. And then we are going to be quickly looking at the body of the letter. Now, if you remember, I had stated that you need to use the letter I less frequently. There are a number of I's. So it would mean rewording the letter. So, for example, this says, and I believe I would make a valuable addition. So my experience aligns well as I have worked before as a summer intern, and I believe I would make a valuable contribution, a valuable addition to the organization. So if you notice, there are 3 I's in that particular sentence. So it could be reworded to say, my experience aligns well as I have worked before as a summer intern and believe I would make a valuable addition to your organization. So, 1 I is gone right there. So it's just a matter of rewording, and you can get help from persons who are experienced in writing these documents to help you to eliminate certain things. Like the last sentence here that says, I look forward with great anticipation. It could be reworded. It could be reworded to say, looking forward with great anticipation. So you see, another I is eliminated right there. Now we move on to the resume for this individual. Notice at the top, it says resume, the name of the applicant, and the applicant's career objective, their educational achievements. They are now going to Shortwood Teachers College, and she intends to finish her program in 2023. Jane also attended Queens High School, and she got these subjects. She got 2, 4, 6 subjects, and she has listed them. Oh dear. Let me go back to the resume so you can quickly see. Right. Okay. So we're getting back to the resume of Jane. And if you notice, we have educational achievements, which I've already gone through. And then I am now going through her working experience. Now, Jane worked at Petrojam. her resume indicated that she worked at Petrojam and the duties and responsibilities that she had as an administrative assistant at Petrojam. If you notice, she also had a period that she worked at Petrojam, which is a 1-month period from June to July of 2019. Also, if you notice, her resume has her technical skills listed, and she has computer skills. She's familiar with the computer and the various applications that comes with the computer, with working on the computer. I don't want to lose this again. Where am I? Okay, I'm going down. Now, Jane also got some special awards, and if you notice, she listed them and the year in which she achieved those special awards. She also has skills, certain skills. If you notice, one of them is that she enjoys reading poetry and performing plays. So, you know, once you indicate all your skills, that's to your advantage, because these skills could be an advantage to the company that you have applied for. Jane also has indicated that references says available on request, and she will be if called for the job, as I said before, she will indicate who her references are. This is an error, I believe, on the resume, so it's something that we need to be careful when we are applying for when we are sending out our resumes. All right, we'll quickly go back to the original document and continue with the presentation. Oh dear, I did this wrong, but I ask you to bear with me and understand. Now, as I said before, both your cover letter and your resume should not have any errors, any at all. Get someone to proofread your documents. Anybody can proofread them for you. I have had to proofread resumes and help students from grades and staff to put their resumes together. I even have one person who I helped her with her resume. She's now working, which is good. She has finished with school and she's now working. And there's another individual, he has been in a job for quite some time and he had to revise his resume and he asked for my assistance. So there is no need to be afraid to ask anybody to reread, to revisit for you and to work with you in putting your resume together. The Michelle, Marjolaine and Tamika at Grace and Staff, and any other staff member at Grace and Staff can help you in proofreading your resume. And we'll continue. Now, you have sent out letters, you have sent out cover letters, you have sent out resumes, you're looking for a job. The next step is the interview. And you can see from the screen that there are a number of things that you need to do, you need to be aware of when it comes to the interview. And the very first one, which is very important, you need to research the company that has called you for the interview. You need to research the company. It is very important. And the internet has a wealth of information on various companies. And so you have no excuse. You have no excuse to not have information on the company for when you're being interviewed, because some of the questions will be on the company. The persons who are interviewing you may ask you a question about the company or the job you're applying for, and you must have that information on hand. The next thing is you need to know the exact time and location of the interview. Now, you get the call that you're being interviewed and you are excited. They call and they tell you that they have your application here and they're calling you in for an interview. And so you are excited, You didn't get the name of the person who called. You didn't hear the name, the time of the interview. You didn't hear the location, and you didn't hear the date. All of that because your adrenaline was flowing, and that's natural. So you just have to calm down when you hear what is happening and get all that information: the name of the person whom you should ask for when you go for the interview, the time of the interview, and the location. And I must pause here again to point out that this presentation mainly focuses on direct interviews. I know we because of the pandemic, most of our interviews are virtual or hybrid, and so some of the things from this presentation will apply or can apply to the virtual interviews. So you just need to be innovative, you need to be creative, and you need to remember certain things. All right. Now, you need to arrive early for the interview. So if it's a direct interview where you have to go to the building that the interview is taking place, you need to arrive at least 15 minutes early. If it's via one of the meeting platforms like Zoom or Skype, make sure you sign in early and you wait and be patient until the interview has started. Now, while you're waiting, please do not play any games on your mobile. Do not play any games on your mobile. If you're on the building and waiting to be interviewed, there must be an area where you have magazines that you can read and use your time wisely. When you go into the interview, whether it's virtual or direct, please remember to turn off your cell phones. Please remember to turn off your cell phones, all right? And if your cell phone should ring while you're in the interview, you just tell the hiring manager, tell the interviewer to excuse you, and you turn off the phone. As simple as that. Just turn it off immediately. Okay? Now, when it comes to the interview, your appearance is very important. Very, very important. You have to make sure you are dressed well, dressed for the job, whether it's direct or whether it's virtual, whether it's online. You must dress appropriately for the job. You must make sure you look and you are groomed well and your clothes are looking neat. No excessive jewelry. Use light cologne. Remember the deodorant. You remember you are selling yourself. You are advertising what you have to offer this company, and so it's important that you look good. And believe me, when you look good, you feel good, and your self-confidence level rises, and you are ready for the interview. Your hair must be neatly combed, not too extravagant with the hairstyle, and believe me, the colors, just stick to the basic colors. All right. Always when you're going for the interview, whether the interview is direct or online, have your resume ready, because you're not going to remember everything. When you are completing your application form, there's some information that is on the resume that is called for on the application form that is on the resume, and you may not remember it. So therefore, you must carry your resume with you. And if you're doing the interview online or using one of the meeting platforms, then you still carry your resume, because you are a human being and you're nervous and your adrenaline is flowing. So therefore, you may need to refer to your resume for certain information. Any questions? Now, when the interview is direct, you are entering the room for the interview, you offer a firm handshake. Do not hold the interviewer's hand too tight. Just offer a firm handshake, and do not shake them too long. About 3 times will do. All right. So it's important that you offer a firm handshake. Now, you enter the room. Both of you will be sitting down, but you wait until you are offered the seat before you seat. It is very important that you wait until you're offered the seat. And once that is done, you sit, and you sit in an upright position. But please do not be too stiff, because it will show a sign of being too nervous. You need to be relaxed for the interview. So you sit upright, no slouching, no slouching. Sit upright and you respond to the questions asked. Now, while you're doing the interview, you need to maintain eye contact. Please do not look all over the room. Do not look up, do not look down, do not look sideways. Look directly in the eye of the interviewer, but do not stare the interviewer down. Look directly in their eyes when you're speaking to them. You may be able to, it's good if you can look behind them, because you're thinking, but please do not have yourself looking all over the room. It will show a sign of nervousness, all right? And it will show lack of self-confidence. So you need to maintain the eye contact. Your voice and the volume of your speech conveys how confident you are. Do not speak soft. Speak at a moderate level. All right? If you speak too soft, it will indicate shyness. If you speak too loud, then it may indicate some amount of aggressiveness in your behavior. So you need to control the volume of your speech and your voice level. Your vocabulary, your English language is very important. And I know some of us have weaknesses, and we can seek help with these weaknesses from people that we know. As I mentioned before, Grace and staff is there to help you. Do not be afraid. And as Curtis had said at the beginning, I will be able to assist you after the presentation. If you need the assistance, I will make myself available to assist you. At the end of the presentation, I will give you my email address, and you can send your resumes. If you so desire, you may send your resumes. I will look at them and see how best I can help you. Now, we mentioned this earlier on. If you are doing the interviews online, probably via Zoom, Teams, Skype, you maintain some of the principles that are indicated in the direct interviews. You dress professionally no matter what. You must dress professionally. You use professional names on the Zoom link. Like when you're opening up, it would say Karlene Burgess, and so you know who is coming on. You are to ensure that the background is ideal for an interview. All right. Also, ensure that the room that you're in offers privacy, that there's nobody who can listen to your conversation, because your interview is confidential. You really don't want everybody to hear in your business. So as best as possible, try to find some amount of privacy. Ensure that the internet service is good, that there are no interruptions with the internet service. I know it's a bit of a challenge to do that, but you have to find somewhere where your internet service will not be interrupted. Again, you need to have your resume on hand, and once again, be prepared for the type of interview you're going to have, because your interview could be with an individual or it could be with a panel. So you need to be like a Girl Guide or a Boy Scout and be prepared for anything. All right. After the interview, if it's a direct interview, you offer a firm handshake once again, and you say thank you for seeing me, for interviewing me, and you express appreciation. Now, some people do it and some people don't, where right after the interview, you send a thank you note, a thank you email will suffice, expressing appreciation that they were able to see you and to reinforce that you are the ideal candidate for the job. Are there any questions? Now, this is a short 5 minutes presentation on interviewing techniques, things to look out for, things that have been said, indicated in the presentation I just made.
Hey, Karlene, it has no sound.
Oh,
Right, so what you have to do is you have to stop share and then stop sharing and then click share screen. And when you click in share screen at the bottom, you'll see share sound as well. So click share screen right now.
share screen. Yeah, share screen.
And then you should see share sound.
Share sound, yes. Oh, I forgot about that.
Right, and then you can open back the video.
Oh, it's so far back I am. All right, let's see if I can go to the end.
Arguably the most crucial part of the job search, an interview. Arguably the most crucial part of the job search, an interview can make or break an opportunity. So to help you really prepare, we're going to dissect and analyze an entire interview from start to finish. I'll be sprinkling in a mix of tips about body language, etiquette, and how to answer common questions. Like, when exactly does the interview start? How do you deal with nerves? And how soon can you follow up?
Oh, Danish, what happened here?
For years, athletes have used science and data analysis to improve. Now, we are doing the same for job seekers everywhere. This is job science. Meet Anya, a recent grad majoring in business administration. She's interviewing for an entry-level project management position. Note her posture. Head up, shoulders pulled back, no slouching, and no laid-backness. The interview begins the minute you walk into the building. Anya treats everyone in the office with respect while keeping eye contact. From security personnel to receptionists, anyone you run into on your way in could be asked to give feedback on you. It's normal to be nervous. When nerves kick in, the natural human response is to take short breaths and breathe faster. Stay calm by taking a deep breath before entering. Hold it, count to 3, and then slowly breathe out. Pause. First, ace those introductions. Greet everyone in a way that is authentic to you, like, hey, nice to meet you, and then say their name. That one always works. You know, you're more likely to remember their name if you say it out loud when you first meet. A lot of the time, small talk comes up before any questions. It's good to have a few current events or topics in mind. You can't possibly predict what they're going to ask, but you can practice answering the common ones, like, why do you want to work here? What makes you unique? Let's see what our interviewer asks.
So I want to hear more. Tell me a little about your experience and what you'd bring to this role.
Pause. When this is asked, they're looking to learn what makes you stand out. Be honest with your answers. That means having to pause and think for a second. That is all right. Think about your past experiences and how the role lines up with your future goals. It never hurts to be honest.
Great question. Ever since I was young, I've always been the organized one in my family. Whether it was helping my parents schedule vacations or color coordinating my closet, naturally that lifestyle got me here, project management. I've been a people person for as long as I can remember. Plain and simple, I love team building and making sure everyone has a part. Just the other month.
Ooh, just really quick, don't speak negatively about previous places you've worked. Instead, talk about what you've learned.
I helped lead a team of 5 to deliver a 3-week sales project a few days ahead of schedule.
Oh dear, what did I do, Danish?
You just skipped it. You can just go back.
Oh no.
Arguably the most crucial part of the job search. An interview can make or break an opportunity. What makes you stand out? Be honest with your answers. If that means having to pause and think for a second, that is all right. Think about your past experiences and how the role lines up with your future goals. It never hurts to be honest.
Great question. Ever since I was young, I've always been the organized one in my family. Whether it was helping my parents schedule vacations or color coordinating my closet, naturally that lifestyle got me here, project management. I've been a people person for as long as I can remember. Plain and simple, I love team building and making sure everyone has a part. Just the other month.
Ooh, just really quick, don't speak negatively about previous places you've worked. Instead, talk about what you've learned.
I helped lead a team of 5 to deliver a 3-week sales project a few days ahead of schedule. I'd love to bring these things here.
Perfect. A response like this not only answers the question, but also shows off her personality. But remember, there's no one right way to interview and answer questions. Be yourself and let your personality shine. Be aware of your movements. Practice polite, confident body language. Subtly miming your interviewer's posture can actually create a sense of connection. Of all places, unnecessary movements are hard to ignore in an interview. Whether it's tapping your fingers or bouncing your leg, be aware and stay present.
Hey, it's been great chatting so far. I guess my last question is, do you have any questions for me?
Ooh, this is a hot one. Make sure to have a short list of questions for your employer in your back pocket. Ask the questions you would if you got the job. If tomorrow was your first day, what would you want to know from the manager? Even if you don't have any burning questions, asking a few shows that you did your homework and that you really care. Some include, what do you like best about working here? What are some mistakes people have made in this position? What is a goal you're currently working toward? How will my performance be evaluated?
Well, I did read that you're expanding your software team next quarter. I'm curious how you plan to carry that out.
The interview isn't actually over. Always follow up within 24 hours with a thank you email to the hiring manager. This can be a quick note simply thanking them for their time, or a longer one that elaborates on some of the things you talked about. It's key to leaving a lasting impression. This was the breakdown of an interview. Till next time.
All right. Are there any questions? All right. So you have, yes. Yes, O'Shane. Any questions?
No, miss.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
there's a question in the
All
chat.
right.
It says, what if you don't have any work experience?
Any work? That's what it says, Danish?
Right, so Gianna is asking, what if I don't have, or what if you don't have any work experience? What should you do?
There's nothing that you can do, but before don't put up your hands in the air and give up. Every one of us in this session, even Curtis himself, and Sandrina, and Danish, and myself, we didn't have any work experience when we started. But we started somewhere and we continued to work until we gained our experience. So what you have to all bear in mind is that you have to start thinking, if you got summer employment, you use that as your stepping stone. You may not have gotten summer employment, but you can volunteer to offer your services free, to offer your services without charge. You can go to one of the companies close to you, or even talk to Grace and staff again and see how they can help you to volunteer. And once you have that, whether you were paid for it or whether you were not paid, it will go on your resume. Remember, I said everything that you have achieved must be on your resume at some point. Any other question?
Remember, you can type it in the chat or you can open your microphone and ask the questions.
All right, while they think about the questions, just to add that we have gone through responding to an advertisement for a job, doing your cover letter, doing your resume, and the interviews. And you must remember that these are just because of the time frame we have. We couldn't go into details, but these should help you in achieving what you want to achieve to get that job. Now, you have gone through the interview and you have been selected for the position. And so you need to bear in mind that there are rules, there are protocols, there are procedures that each company has, and they must be followed. If you breach, then you have to pay the consequences. So they have rules, and if you breach one of the rules, there are consequences for whatever the breach is all about. Some of them, you could be suspended, you could be reprimanded with a letter, or you could be asked to leave the job. You could be fired. Your services could be terminated. So you need to adhere to the rules offered by that the company has. And you, as you get along, as you go up in the company each day, you're new to the company. Once you know the rules, once you know what they're expecting of you, then you will improve and you'll gradually get to know the company, know the people, and to improve on your self-confidence. You also have to bear in mind that you have duties and responsibilities. You have been given a job, you have been assigned various tasks, and you are obligated to do what you are asked. You will be given what is called a job description, which outlines your duties and your responsibilities, and you are expected to follow through on those. If, for example, you do not understand what is expected of you, you must ensure that you have a conversation with your immediate supervisor. Do not be afraid. Do not let it be said, but you did not ask. Please make sure you have the conversation with them, and you are to respect the time of the company. They will respect your time, and you will have to respect their time. So if you are to start working at 8:30, please do not reach to work at 8:30. See if whatever means, if you can reach work at least 15 minutes before and get yourself settled so that you are ready to start working at 8:30. So these are little things that you must maintain, you must manage. And you're not going to remember everything. You're not going to remember everything we did in this presentation. But when the time comes, there will always be somebody, a mentor, whom you can speak with if there are any issues that you need to look at. Are there any questions?
All right, well, I know I'm not one of the participants, but here is a question. What questions would you say are appropriate to ask at the end of a job interview?
Questions that are appropriate is to get more details on the job itself. That is an appropriate question. You can also ask about the company's policy when it comes to promotion, educational assistance. You can also find out how involved, well, you would have done some research. You remember I told you that you do research on the company, and from doing that research, it will draw the questions. If you notice from the clip that we saw, the person spoke about some sporting activity that particular company was going to be hosting soon, and expressed an interest, that they were interested and they wanted to know how they were going about having the whole sporting event take place. So they were interested. So from doing the research, it will generate the questions. It is not a good idea to ask about salary in the first interview. Never you ask about salary in the first interview. It is appropriate that if you have successive interviews, that means you are closer to getting the job, then you can start talking about salaries and benefits. But the key to doing this, there is a trick to doing the whole thing. You do not ask the question. The interviewer may ask you the question. So how much do you think, what is your pay scale, pay grade? What are you looking for in terms of salary? If the one thing that has been said in the recruitment quarters is that you try and turn the question back to the company, to the interview. If that is not possible, then you should have information which would outline the grade, the range for that particular position in that particular company. That is
Which is part of the research.
That's part of the research, yes.
Great.
Any other
Great.
questions?
All right, so here's
All
another.
right.
Okay, so
There's a question there.
What was that, Curtis?
There's a question from Gianna in the chat.
Yes, Gianna.
okay, so here's a question. It says, on the resume, should I put my most recent qualifications first?
Yes. On your resume, whether it's education or job experience, the most recent information must be first, must be at the top of that heading, must be the very first thing. Because some hiring manager, they really don't have time to go through all the resumes and job applications they have gotten. So they will be looking for the most recent information on your resume.
Let me just say this, because I think when we started the session, I think we only had 6 or 7 students on it.
Yes.
So the question is this: maybe there are some students on the call that are wondering, still not clear, why do we do the session? We do it every year, but for those who are attending for the first time, well, one, we want to prepare you for life. It's not just something that we're doing that's academic. We want to prepare you because eventually everybody here will be seeking employment. And some of you may be in 5th form, 6th form, and you may choose to not go straight to university, or you may choose to go to university and you may choose to work while you study. So you may need to apply for a job. So it's relevant to you. But also, every year we have a summer employment program. And we started doing the session partially because we saw a lot of errors in the resumes and cover letters that were coming in. And that's why one of the reasons we started to do this. And so you're on the call because if you're 16 and over, you're eligible to apply for a summer employment placement at Grace Kennedy. I'm not sure how many persons will be selected, but it's important that you do a resume and a cover letter so you can send it in. So I know after I say this, perhaps you'll have some more questions coming in.
And also, while they think about their questions, just to let you know that not only do jobs appear in our newspapers, the Gleaner or the Observer, but you also have websites where you can seek jobs. Jobs are posted there, and you can upload your cover letter and resume, depending on what they ask for. They may just ask for your resume, but if they ask for the cover letter and resume, you need to be prepared. And some of these websites are LinkedIn. You have LinkedIn, you have the Ministry of Labor. The Ministry of Labor has a site. You also have Youth Jamaica. I understand they have a website. So those are areas that you can look at. And CaribbeanJobs.com is one of the more popular ones. They started quite a few years ago. They started this online job search for people, and so they are one of the more popular ones. And you also have the large companies, for example, Grace Kennedy. When there are openings at Grace Kennedy, these jobs are posted under the career link of the Grace Kennedy website, and so you would have the larger companies doing the same thing. So you have a wide range out there in terms of seeking employment.
All right, so here's another question I think a lot of young people would want answered. What role do you think, or what role does social media, your social media profile and your social media activities, how do they impact the chance of you getting employment?
I should turn that question over to the student, because looking at LinkedIn, for example, which is a professional website, when you do when you join LinkedIn, you have to do a summary of your qualifications and your experience and things that you have done in the past. And so that will tell anybody who visits you as an individual who is doing any search, and they click on you, the individual, they're going to see all this write-up. And it is very important. It's very important to them. It provides information that will help you. And if it's a job that they have to offer and you fit the qualifications, you'll get a call. So social media plays a great role in employment for people, but you just have to make sure that it's professional. That is the key word. It is professional. Nobody wants somebody in their organization that is going to act in an unprofessional manner. So it is left up to the individual to maintain that professionalism.
Any other questions?
All right, so I think Alancia has a question. And here the question is, what roles would we have when working with Grace? I think she's referring to the summer program. What roles would we have when working with Grace?
Could you repeat her name for me, Danish?
Alancia.
What happened is the summer, Grace Kennedy has, call it 2 summer employment programs. One where we take students and place them within the company, within the Grace Kennedy company, but we haven't done that since the pandemic. The other one we have, which is the major one, is where we place students in non-profit organizations to work. And when we say non-profit organizations, we mean like some of the hospitals, the libraries, institutions like YWCA, YMCA, Ministry of Agriculture. So we place them in a wide range of companies. Some of the hospitals that we work with is like Nuttall Hospital, Bustamante Hospital, University Hospital of the West Indies. And so we place these students at the request of the companies, we place the students in these organizations, and Grace Kennedy pays those students. Grace Kennedy pays those students. Now, if you notice, I mentioned a number of companies. Each company would have different jobs to offer, different responsibilities. And so I couldn't say to you, if you go to Nuttall Hospital, that you're going to be doing X and Y. It depends on their need. Like last year, using last year as an example, when I spoke with the general manager, he says that he needed somebody to work in the records department. The records department deals with the files of patients because this permanent employee was going on maternity leave and he needed somebody to fill the spot. So that student would be assisting with the filing. And probably even be have more responsibilities. So it all depends on where you're working. You could be doing data entry, receptionist. You could be answering the telephones and redirecting calls. You could also be, did I say filing? You could also be doing filing. You could be assigned a project to work on with other students. So it varies, it really varies. And I must add that we have had a few, probably just a handful of organizations. What they do is that if you are a exceptional worker, either they ask you to stay on a little longer with the permission of Grace Kennedy, or they may take you on permanently depending on where you reach in school, or they may ask Grace Kennedy to ask you to come back a second year or even a third year. We have had those incidents, those dealing with. So it depends on you, the individual. And so you need to be prepared because you could be given anything. The most important thing you must remember is what you learn from those jobs to put on your resume. Any other question?
All right, so Tony Anderson is asking, are there any summer programs for, or what is the age group that we accept? She's asking specifically But I think she's 16, so she's asking if there are summer work programs for 16-year-olds.
Yeah, the program that I spoke about and that Curtis mentioned is the minimum age is 16. We start at 16, age 16. But I would encourage you to speak with Michelle or any of the other field officers, and they will provide, and Curtis himself, and they will provide you with the guidance that you need for the summer program.
All right. Again, I think this is a question that I have. I know the participants haven't asked much question, but I have a few friends and they have resumes, and when they send the resumes to view, it's around 15 pages long, 20 pages long. How long should a resume be?
Ideally, a resume should be 1 page. But we know, based on experience, some people's resumes are longer, and so it is recommended that your resume should be 2 pages. If you remember, Danish, when I spoke, I said the hiring manager really don't have time to go through all the applications and resumes that they get. So they're looking for most recent experience, most recent qualifications, educational qualifications. So that's what they're looking for. So if you can make your thing 2 pages, that would be good. Now, resume containing 15 pages, there must be a reason why it's 15 pages. It all depends on the job they're applying for. It could be a very, very senior position, and they would need to outline their achievements in previous jobs they held, and so this will help them to get into the new job that they're applying for. So it all depends, but normally on a regular basis, 2 pages is enough.
I think there's another question in the chat.
Right, and Lisa Lindsay has a comment. She says, I remember volunteering at Children's Hospital, and I saw some students working there at the X-ray department. So it was really a comment.
Okay. All right, well, there are no more
Wait, one more question.
Okay.
Here's another question. I know a lot of the times the companies, they will ask, or they will send out an invitation, an offer for people to apply, and they may say they need someone with 2 years experience, 3 years experience, 5 years experience. What would be your advice to someone who doesn't have that experience? Should they still apply if they have the qualifications, the educational background, but they don't have the specific experience that they're asking for?
I would, if the position calls for 2 years experience, I would encourage the individual to apply. But if you don't have the experience, you wouldn't apply for if the job asks for 5 years, because there is a reason why they ask for 2 years, 3 years, and 5 years. Now, if you apply for the job and it's asking for 2 years experience, your cover letter must be worded strong enough to indicate why you, despite not having the 2 years experience, will be able to fill the job efficiently. Your cover letter must state that. All right? It is very important. If you're to get an interview, if you're to get 1 foot into the door, your cover letter must state what you have to offer instead of the 2 years experience.
Okay. Right. I think the time is going. So do we have even one last question? We have some questions for you as well. And don't come off the call now, because if you come off, you might miss the opportunity to win a token. So don't get frightened by the fact that we're going to ask you questions, all right? So, but is there one last question that you guys have? All right. So I didn't, because there were just 6 students on the call when we started. I didn't get to properly big up all the students, but we want to acknowledge all the students present, those from Central Kingston, West Kingston, Majestic Gardens, Spanish Town, Quarry Hill, De La Vega City, Barbican, and all the other communities represented on the call. Right, so happy that you joined us. So we're gonna ask some questions now, and you will have the opportunity to win some tokens. All right. The first question I'm gonna ask is, Ms. Burgess mentioned this more than once, and a few minutes ago she mentioned it again. Before you actually begin writing the resume or the cover letter, what is a very important exercise that you need to do? Something very important you need to do even before you write that resume.
Research on the company.
That is right. Great. So, who answered the question?
Zoe answered the question.
Zoe on the ball, right? So you take her name for me. We have a token for you, Zoe, and we'll tell you afterwards what it is. All right.
All right, Curtis, before you go ahead, both Danish and yourself need to see how quickly you can determine whether the person answered via directly or in the chats, because somebody did respond in the chat.
Oh.
Right. So I don't know if Danish could look out for that. And
right, you have to look at both Danish.
All right, so what we can do is we can ask them to raise their hand. So the first person that raised their hand, we will allow you to respond, whether in the chat or via
the chat or
via the microphone.
All right. So Zoan got that one. All right, my second question is this. All right, so there has to be a resume and there has to be a cover letter. What are some of the essential things that have to be in the cover letter?
Okay, Daniel, go ahead.
Your name, of course, your address. It's good to also have the address of the company you are applying to. You must also sign your cover letters and have your telephone and email and your contact information.
Very good. Is she correct? She sounds correct, Karlene. Yeah. Right. So Ganesh, she is correct. So you need to have your name, your address, the company's address, and very importantly, Ms. Burgess, I'd stress this, that you must sign the letter because many persons send their cover letter without signing it. That's very important. Great. Congratulations. Who was that again?
Dana Cross.
Dana, congratulations, Dana. Right. All right, next question is, give 2 examples of errors commonly made on the resume. It can be resume or cover letter.
Okay, Lisa, you can go ahead. Lisa Lindsay. All right, so she says using the word I frequently.
Right, so we need 2 errors, 2 common errors.
So she gave one.
That's right.
Sir, I'm giving either a wrong.
So hold on, is that another person answering, Ganesh? We need
No,
to.
sir, Lisa Lindsay, sir.
Same person.
Okay.
Yeah. Sir, either giving the wrong email address or giving an email address that is not for professional use.
All right. Do we give her that, Karlene? Certainly, the overuse of I is a huge error, pretty common, that Ms. Burgess mentioned. And we'll give it to you. All right? Great. Congratulations. All right. Someone needs to tell us what are 3 important elements of a resume.
Okay, Gianna, you can go ahead.
Three important elements.
Okay, so she's typing. She says qualifications.
Qualifications. All right, so these are 3 things that have to be in the resume. qualifications is one. Is she typing in some others?
Yes, sir, she is. So she says qualification, career objectives. So one more, Diana. And work experiences.
Right. So qualification, work experience, career objective. Although Miss Burgess did say that career objective is optional, it doesn't have to be there, but it's you know, a lot of resumes do carry the career objective. So you are correct. Congratulations, Gianna.
Okay, Gianna,
Right.
could you let us have your last name? So you can continue.
Right. So two more questions, right? 3 don'ts of the interview. D-O-N''T. Don't. Right? 3 don'ts
Okay,
of the interview.
Andrina
Three things
can
you need
go
to
ahead.
avoid.
Andrina can go ahead.
Good evening. You're hearing me?
Yes, we are.
You shouldn't be slouching.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be on your phone, and you should keep eye contact with those in the room and have a polite aroma.
So another. Okay, Karlene.
She mentioned 4. The
Yeah.
fourth one is a little bit out, but the other 3 are okay.
Very
Maintaining eye contact.
Right.
Maintaining eye contact, Andreen.
Great. Congratulations, Andreen. You won.
Thank you.
So the final one now.
One sec, sir. Before we continue with the final one, guys, you can unraise your hands. So everyone's hand is raised.
Down. Hands down.
O'Shane, hands down.
All right. So the final one. 4 things we must do in preparation or during the interview process. 4 essentials. It can be in preparation or during the process.
Okay, Philip Rigdard, you can go ahead.
All right, if you're taking more than 5 seconds to begin, we may shift that to someone else who has their hand.
No, sir, I'm typing. My audio
Okay.
might not be working.
But we just heard him a while ago, so he can speak.
Right. So let's say Philip.
All right. You should offer to shake the interviewers, and you should wait on the interviewer to allow you to sit. You should remember to be polite to the interviewer, and you should bring a positive vibe and dress appropriately for the meetings.
You can find one more, Philip. I know you said, go ahead.
And you should never ask about the pay in the interview.
In the first interview.
So,
that's okay, Curtis.
That's okay. All right. Congratulations, Philip. All right, Fortis, you won. All right. So those are all the questions. Congratulations to all the winners. You're all on point, which means that you have been listening. And that perhaps explains why you didn't have more questions, because you knew the answers to the questions I asked. And some of these questions people ask back, even though they're in the presentation. So great. At this time, it's a little past 6:30, and we wanted to end at 6:30. So it's an opportune time now for me to ask Zoan Turner to do the vote of thanks on behalf of all of us on the call. Zoan was the one who answered the first question, right?
Yes.
Right. Go ahead, Zoan.
I must apologize for my noisy background.
Good evening, Ms. Burgess. On behalf of the students of the Grace and Staff Foundation, we'd like to thank you for your informative presentation on resumes. They will definitely be beneficial for us in the future. Have a wonderful rest of the evening, team.
Great.
Thank you very much, Zoan.
Thanks so much, Zoan. And remember, Ms. Burgess has actually offered to look at your resumes. You know, not many persons will take the time to go through and look at the resumes and correct them and give you advice. So in fact, people pay for this kind of a service. There are a lot of agencies that actually pay to look at people's resumes and correct them. And Ms. Burgess, who is an HR specialist, she's willing, you know, and she's gonna put her email address out in the chat. Have you put it up, Ms. Burgess?
I typed it and I pressed enter and I don't see anything happening. What have I done wrong? What have I done wrong, Danish? I type it and I press enter and nothing happens. Oh, I pressed the wrong button, Danish. It's all right. Are you seeing it now?
Right. Karlene Victoria. Right. So it's the first time knowing your middle name, Karlene. I'm assuming that's your middle name. After all these years, I know you. Yeah, so Ms. Burgess has just put up her email address, and she is making herself available, even though she's so busy, to look at your resumes. So, you know, if you're 16 and over and you're interested in summer employment, which I think everybody on the call should be, then you can start doing your resumes and cover letters, and you can send them directly to Ms. Burgess, or if you want to send it through myself or Ms. Peters or any one of your field officers, you can do that, right? So you can send it either through Ms. Marja Lane Francis, Ms. Tamika, Mrs. Eubank, right? You can send it to any one of us, and then we will pass it on to Ms. Burgess, all right? So, Karlene, I just want to say thanks as well, just to add to what Zoan said, just to underline everything she said, and thank you for such a very detailed and comprehensive presentation. I think the students are a lot more informed. Those who might have had a similar presentation before, I'm sure they would be reminded and should not forget anything that was shared this afternoon. But thanks so much, and thanks again also for making yourself available, Karlene, to help us to look at the resumes. Thanks.
Thank you for inviting me, Curtis.
Yes. Right. Everyone, have a good evening, and remember, you can contact us if you have any further questions, and we will provide the support you need. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening, and I hope everybody has water.
Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, Danish.
Okay. Thanks again, Karlene. You too.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Karlene.
Okay, Danish.